Hi. Just wanted to talk about a few things about affecting radical change in our society through, well, various means. Um, and we all know as Christians that over the last several decades, so much of depravity has crept in to our society and our institutions and our academia and the media and all that. And it almost seems as if Christianity has lost so much of influence in the world today. And what I'm also meaning is that non-Christian values, especially ideology stemming from cultural Marxist, radical leftist form of countercultural ideologies have crept into our society through various means, having become, the mainstream and gaining traction in the 60s through sexual revolution and the countercultural revolution in the 60s, and through, like, for instance, the hippie movements. Now, in late 60s and 70s, these, these youths, these disenfranchised and what do you call it? These these disenfranchised and marginalized youths have grown up, and they've started to run our companies. They started to become professors of our academic institutions. They've become working in our media. They've managed to infiltrate our media. They've managed to infiltrate the press. They've managed to infiltrate Hollywood. They've managed to infiltrate our educational systems, our schools, and of course the academia. And because of such things, the Christian influence of in the world has greatly been eroding, and it is only recently now that I think that the cracks are starting to be felt in these new system of things. That I believe that the kingdom of God will continue to expand and to reassert its influence on the world. I think many Christians are coming to the realization that that the culture can be redeemed, and that many have now mobilized through various means, such as the internet networking groups, the Christian networking. It is a new phenomenon that has taken hold recently, and we must take advantage of that because, the thing is that this mass media and print and television is just no longer has a hegemony over information, no longer monopolizes information. So it's no longer a case where a tiny minority of the elites are controlling the information from, like, sort of a top-down approach. Of course, here Christians do have a top-down approach, except that we have a higher top-down approach. But it's the thing is, like I said, it's the hegemony and the monopoly of these systems that have been infiltrated by the radical left has been shattered, and it's the time for us to pick up the broken shattered pieces of our society and try to put them back together again. And there's this new phenomenon that is emerging called the Christian networking sort of. I don't know what the name is, the specific name of it, but what it is that there are leaders, particularly evangelical, charismatic Protestant leaders that are networking online, right? Some of them are prominent individuals, published authors, or who are in Christian broadcasting, and some of the, or pastors, or whatever, right? And anyways, this is a sort of a movement. Not only that has become transcontinental and transdenominational, so that it's very universal. It takes into account every single Christian denominational stance. So because these things are happening now, it has become easier for Christian conservatives to wrest control over the minds of our youth, the minds of the younger generations. Up until recently, they have been under the sway of the leftist agenda, social agenda, and politics, social engineering, and we've seen how they've been corrupting our kids through pornography in our classrooms. I could attest to it as millennial myself. When I was in grade school, this is exactly what they used to do, beginning in grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, and it just got progressively worse from there. And the LGBT agenda and Marxist politics, for that matter, even. And in the 90s and early 2000s, where I grew, like the time I grew up, there was no internet back then. There was just simply no YouTube. There was no blogging, no vlogging, no social media, whatever it was back then. Like, it was whatever that could be called construed as social media back then, was at its most like primitive stages. So it had a limited influence and everything. The source of the information that we got as when we were younger was through television, through schools, also through printed media, through radio, and it's been traditionally, how it's traditionally was done, but now it's no longer the case, is it? These have been like decentralized, right? These sort of organizations have been decentralized. They no longer hold them like a monopoly over the masses right now. It's been shattered and broken, and we just need to start to wake up and smell the coffee. The fact is that we're free now. We're free of the various means that Satan has used to control the minds of our young children, and to re-educate them in Christian values, and to win back our country for the kingdom of God, for once again for kingdom values to proliferate, and we have an advantage of that right now. Just a friend of mine. We have an advantage of that right now. Through the use of internet and through networking. This is what we have to do right now. The newest generation is far more interconnected and networked, and this is what we have to do as Christians. We got to network and network and network, and and to that way to mobilize and to effect at least subtle changes into our in our society and all that, and this Christian networking phenomenon that has been going around, this is far more potent and effective than the so-called the emerging church, which is total garbage, a useless piece of garbage. Christian networking provides actually hope that we're no longer gonna submit or yield for a split second to this debilitating, degenerative influence of the mainstream left, So thank you very much, and God bless you all.